What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Mint City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gussler, and I'm here with my ever-good-looking co-host, Matt Swift. Matt, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing well, David. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Wish we were meeting on better terms again, but I feel like that's been my intro for the past month straight. But that's okay. But I want to start us off here with some pretty exciting news. And Matt, I'll pass it over to you, buddy, to announce something pretty cool and pretty special for the Mint City Soccer Show.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody saw it today on social media, but we've got a new show sponsor. Pretty pumped about it. It's Renegade Goalkeeping. If you're not familiar with them, they did all of the gloves for the recent 7-on-7 tournament. They designed all the gloves for all the different teams. It was really, really cool. So if you haven't seen those, I would definitely follow them on social media. Go back and look at some of those. Again, not sure if you saw the Charlotte FC ones that I posted today. Here's one of them. If you're on YouTube right now, you can see this. This is the purple one. We have the blue ones. Unfortunately, those are not for sale, so don't get too excited. Those are, I believe, the ones that they used for the 7-on-7 tournament, but really excited to have them on as a sponsor. Lots more cool stuff and collaborations to come with them.
It's awesome, man. And Matt, I have to ask, are you going to be rocking those for the Mint City Collective Massel team or Supporter Cup team coming up soon?
I may have to get another pair from them, like maybe just a normal pair, because I really don't want to mess these up. These are so nice. The palms and the detail. They've got the two states on there. These may just have to sit on my shelf so I can look at them. They're really, really cool, but they're really good quality gloves. So I'm pumped to have them as a sponsor.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them too, and they're pretty local, right? So that way. Yep. It's not like we're just selling out right to the ban, right? We got a sponsor here that's a local company and that's impacting soccer here in the Carolinas, right?
That's right. The CEO Ryan, he's a Mint City Collective member. Nice. Really great guy, so that's nice. And yeah, we want to. I mean, we could go out and get sponsors, of course, but we want it to make sense and really mean something, and not just have a sponsor just for the sake of it, but because we want to have a true collaboration with folks. So this works perfectly.
Awesome. Well, be on the lookout, folks. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think Swift even has us with a TikTok now. So make sure you look at those different handles, and you should be able to see these gloves front and center. But then also you'll see some more things to come here in the future, right?
That's right.
Awesome, Matt. Well, Renegade, thanks for being there for us, and let's dive into this previous game, Matt. So I know we were talking pregame a little bit about potential titles of this show, and we had the previous one where it's like a draw feels like a win for Seattle, and now this one potentially could be where a draw feels like a loss, right? So
yeah, the last two, we've had two back-to-back draws now that feels like a loss.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we've done an episode together here, man. So it's doesn't feel rainbows and sunshines right now for Christian Latanzio and Charlotte FC as they walk away with another draw against Montreal, where they are now ahead of Charlotte FC, and Charlotte FC is technically out of the playoff spot, sitting at the number 10 spot after this most recent game. So, Matt, let's dive into the game, the lineup. How are you feeling? But a couple of different things that I noticed that was different in this lineup was, I know we've been on social. The midfield production has not been where a lot of fans want it to be. And you saw a little bit of a shakeup there in the midfield, previous game, but also with this game. So what was the big change that you saw in Latanzio's starting 11 this past match?
Well, I think with Bender having a kind of a good run of form and playing well, I think they wanted to keep him out there. And then also Swiderski. So it was a very, offensive-minded midfield. Not a lot of defensive cover when you think about Swiderski and Bender. But I do appreciate the move because we need to generate some offense. I think the last two soccer and coffee shows that we've done, David, I've said that Bender was going to be the kind of the wild card there. Can he pull people out of position? But I think this match didn't really come off as well as the one before. Just defensively, there's just not a lot there. And then I don't think Bender had his best game. But he's looked lively. But it was when I saw the lineup, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to go for it a little bit, and I appreciated that. But it didn't really come off too much. We had our chances, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I kind of like the move. At least go for it. You're leaking goals. Let's go. Let's just go for it, man.
That was one thing that stood out to me, and I think it also signals the future for Charlotte FC in the starting 11, at least current state, before the summer window opens up. You saw, Ashley Westwood be the starting CDM versus a Brant Bronico or Derek Jones, rather because Derek Jones was playing quasi center back. You had Ben Bender starting at the 8, and you had Karol Swiderski up top in that cam role. But, with Charlotte FC's most recent signing, and Scott, I think Scott Arfield is how you say it, right? It's Matt, because, I'm amazing at that stuff. But I think he's a true box-to-box 8 midfielder. And I think I remember listening to Soccer and Coffee, and friend of the show, Von Pullman, joined the show and was talking through that a little bit, right? And I think this was kind of a lineup that he even said that he wished he could have, right? Was that had that Ashley Westwood at the 6, then potentially Ben Bender, Scott Arfield, whoever it would be, to start at the 8 here in the future. So what did you think of Ashley Westwood's performance in this game at that 6 role compared to where we've seen him previously for majority of the season at that kind of 8 box-to-box type role?
I'm one of the people that don't mind him at the 6. I think he can handle that. I think also too, when he receives the ball back there, if he has time to pick his head up, he can launch balls forward and cause some havoc there. There's some questions about his age and his legs. I haven't really seen anything that makes me think he can't do that. But again, it's all about who's with him in that midfield. It can't be, you have to have the other parts. It can't just be him, and you can't have weak links around him. So I'm excited about Scott coming in. I think that will free up Westwood a little more. He can do one role well. Scott can do his role, and then maybe Swiderski can do his role. So that's what we need. I think right now there's just too much miscommunication, too much rotation, too much players not being able to play to their strong suits, right? They're having to do all these other things. So I'm excited about this change, but I do think that Westwood could play in that 6 and play it well. And we saw this game, Derek Jones, again, kind of sliding out from center back, kind of getting into the middle. And then what that does is that pushes everybody up. And again, you want Bender advanced and you want Swiderski advanced. If Jones is not creeping up, you just have Westwood, and then everybody has to kind of sink back in. So the thought is to get everybody pushed up. Sometimes that works, sometimes it does not. I tend to think it doesn't, but again, just adding another piece into the mix that I don't think is needed. But for the most part, this game, I think it worked. I thought we did a good job of kind of shutting down Montreal. They didn't really have too many clear-cut chances. They had one that Kalina made a really good save on, or the guy really didn't put a good shot on. But other than that, I thought we kind of shut them down pretty well.
Yeah, and that was a big change too for this game. And I know you touched on it a little bit about like Lattanzio continues to tinker a little bit with our lineup. Not only did we see Derek Jones there at center back, we did get to see Guzman Corujo continue to start and get starting minutes there at center back, which is nice to see. But with Malanda being potentially hurt in this game, which is why you saw Derek Jones in that center back role, you did see Nathan Byrne out because of yellow card accumulation. And so that means that we had the options on paper, I guess, Joseph Mora or Harrison Alford at left back. But then we go ahead and put Jalen Lindsay at left back and Bill Tuiloma at right back. And I'll be honest with you, maybe I might be a little shocking to you here. I thought Bill played pretty good at right back, to be honest with you. He actually made some runs there in the first half, made some overlapping opportunities, had some opportunities to cross. Didn't seem like he gave up too many opportunities in the right back role either, Matt. But what'd you see from that? And what'd you think about this defensive play from the team who was leading the MLS in terms of goals against Montreal?
Yeah, it's just another backline change. I feel like it's like the 100th one we've seen. But to your point, David, I thought Bill played pretty solid. I think there was like once or twice that he, made some Bill Tuoloma mistakes, but we'll let him slide on that because I think overall he had a pretty solid night. Jalen on the left. I mean, as long as Jalen's on the field, I'm okay with it. Again, he's he proved that he can move around if need be too, and I just wish we could get some type of consistency. And if it's going to be Bill on the right, then it's Bill on the right and it's Lindsay on the left. But let's just try to get some type of consistency. I just honestly, sometimes I just don't understand what's going on in training where it's just so close that people are just moving in and out. And you have Jan, that's a center back not starting, but he comes in later. Is just some things that just don't seem logical and right. But yeah, to Bill's credit, he was asked to do a task, and I thought he did it pretty well.
And then, we didn't really see anything else change from an attacking perspective, right? You had Enzo Capetti up top, Justin Miram, and then Kerwin Vargas. I do want to pick your brain a little bit because, we've had a great performance with Justin Miram there at that wing a little bit, right? And he's, been able to play and start for us almost at a necessity for a little while there, right? We had a lot of injuries at the wing. You had Kamil Józwiak out for an extended period of time, Mackenzie Gaines out for an extended period of time. So our wingers were pretty much Kerwin Vargas and Justin Miram for a long time. And Justin had a chance here in the game pretty early on. He's been a pretty decent goal scorer for us in spurts. Do you want to see him continue to start versus having a Kamil Józwiak come back on the field as a starter, Mackenzie Gaines as a starter, switching sides with Kerwin Vargas? What do you expect the team to do with Justin over the next few weeks? And do you expect him to be a starter every game now for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that's a really tough question because ideally you want Vargas on the field to be able to cut in on that right foot. He has that kind of looping shot that we always talk about. But Justin gives you quality, passing wise and crossing wise, and just a veteran presence. And he may not have the speed, he may not be able to necessarily beat someone with speed down the line. But the thing, I was talking to my friend Steven during the game, like some of the stuff that we're missing is our players can't dribble out of trouble. They're always trying to pass out of trouble. And I get you don't want to give the ball up, but I feel like Justin can actually dribble out of trouble, dribble into space, and open the defense up. And I don't really see that with this team. I see a lot of passing, short passes, whatever, but no one who can really just dribble past someone. But I think Justin gives you that quality. So there is a real question of, now that Kamil is back, you start him on the right. Who is on the left? Is it Miram? Is it Vargas? And I guess you could, see who your opponent is and what's needed. And also too, just because someone doesn't start doesn't mean that they're not a good player or the other person's better. It's just sometimes you may need some speed at the end of the game. Sometimes you may just need someone who can control the ball and hold it, get to the corner flag and kill some time off. So it's a good problem to have. And again, it's for the coach to look at the opponent and say, okay, for this game, Justin Miram's going to be our best option because we need somebody who can control the ball and deliver it in. Next game, it's like, we need speed. We could kill their outside backs. Vargas is going to give us the best bet, or, we'll open things up and he can cut in. So it's a good question. I'm not really sure who should be the starter, but I guess it just depends on the opponent.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do, Matt? We're just supposed to spew hot takes and opinions and say that they're the right answer. And be the coach right away. And I was just I was curious because Camille had such a hot streak for a while there, right? And with him starting for a decent amount of time and then getting hurt, do you force him back onto the field or do you stick with Justin? That's what I was just trying to think through, and I'm sure we've got a lot of Camille fans out there that but yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know if Camille's like 90 minutes ready. I'm sure he's right there. I'm sure he'd want to be out there. So maybe this next game, he plays 20, 30 minutes, comes off the bench again. But then I think after that, you've got to have him on the field. I mean, he's shown his quality. It's a shame that he was hot and then got injured because I think he could have really kept going. I would like to see him out on the field. I would like to see him start, honestly, but I'm just not sure fitness-wise if he's quite all the way back yet.
Got it. Yeah. So let's transition now to what the actual game was, and as we mentioned earlier, it was a draw. Charlotte FC walks away with a point, and if you asked me a few months ago or even last year, would I have been upset with a lot of draws or points? I probably would have told you no, but now at this point in the season, especially when we have, I think as of Saturday night, we had, I think, tied for the fifth least amount of points at home this year, and to walk away again with just another draw was somewhat disappointing, right? Especially as we get into the stretch of the back half of the year. Our schedule doesn't get any easier. Our next home game is against Cincinnati, and we desperately need these 3 points at home. And we go into the bank and basically say, hey, we're going to walk with just a draw and have plenty of chances to get some shots on target and not score anything when we have three DP attacking type players, right? So let's dive into some of the performance of what you see, Swift. So first half, what were some of the big plays, some of the big moments that you felt kind of stood out to you in this game against Montreal?
Just missed chances, right? One of the things that we struggle with is when we turn a team over, we don't make them pay. We're either too slow or not clinical enough. Latanzio was pretty upset, I think, about the lack of finishing. And yeah, I mean, when your defense plays that well, that's been like our sticky point, right? Like our defense has just been horrible. They have a good night, and then our offense just cannot find the back of the net. We had multiple chances, Capetti, Swiderski, Miram, and our guys just did not come through. So it's frustrating.
Yeah, so it's and I definitely saw Latanzio's messaging after the game. To me, it's disappointing to see three DP attacking players basically come up with 0 goals. You had Enzo Capetti have a very early chance that was frankly I want to say like a Sunday league, me up on top as a striker kind of miss, where I don't know if his legs were just underneath him, what happened, but had a slip and fall. You had Justin Miram have a chance on target in the first half. I think Corin Vargas even had a shot on target or right over the top. We had plenty of chances, and I just felt like this game's theme was missed opportunities because, like you said, we finally get the defense to click and finally get someone to actually get a clean sheet for Christian Klina, and we walk away with a draw because we can't put anything on target. What do you think went wrong? Is it anything that tactic wise, or was it just player performance, or what?
I mean, you could say whatever you want about tactics or the coach or whatever you want, but again, he can't go out there and put the ball in the net for these guys. I mean, Swiderski had chances that he missed, and Capetti, that one really bad chance. The Miram shot, he tries to go near post. Probably should have went back post, but I don't know if the defender coming across him kind of put him off from that. But I think he knew he should have buried that too. So there's nothing that the coach can do about that. Like, you sign these players, they're supposed to be professionals and your highest paid players, and they just didn't do their job. So unfortunately, I mean, with this game and last game, that's 4 points dropped. I mean, we got 2 points out of those 2 games, but I mean, technically, it's like 4 points we lost. Those 4 points, we should be in 7th. That right there, this draw home is going to be one of the ones that we look back on if we don't get into the playoffs. This one is the one that's going to screw us. You have to win your home games. You're playing a team that's right where you are, and on that night too. It's funny, we were talking on soccer and coffee. Like, we needed some of those other games to go our way too, and those didn't either. But I mean, you can only handle your game, and we didn't handle it, and we dropped points. So it sucks. Now we're in 10th, and we're losing ground.
What do you say to the fans? Because I saw it a lot on MCC Slack. I see it a lot on Twitter and Facebook. Do the fans have a leg to stand on when it comes to the frustration for Capetti? Right. So I know he had a knock earlier in the season where he was out for almost a month. He's produced 4 goals by himself, or for him, this season so far. I think he's had officially credited an assist. The last game he basically created an assist with the way he dove for a ball in a run where he wasn't credited for that, right? Do the fans have a right to be frustrated with the play of our DP striker this year, or is it really something else from something else?
Did you hear that lightning strike and thunder? Yeah, I think fans have a right to be concerned, upset. I know there are some friends of mine that really don't like him or wish that we wouldn't have signed him. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's done a lot better with controlling his emotions and everything like that. I know it's frustrating for him to not get certain calls, and I get it. But my biggest thing is I just don't see how him and Swiderski, like, their chemistry is not there. I don't see how they could be on the same field at the same time. They don't link up well. They're just off. And that's a problem for me. I want Capetti to do well. I think he gets really frustrated with the kind of the lack of service. Also, too, what I really don't like is that he's not the tallest guy, and we keep launching balls up to him, and he just keeps getting beat in the air. And like, he'll lose, say there's 10 balls that get launched to him, and he's going to lose 8 of those balls. And then when he does win the other 2, there's no one around him to get the ball. I saw that a couple times. Like, when he actually did win the ball in the air, no one was there to get the ball from him. So it's just not working. I don't quite get it. And the link up play between those two is off. And so, yeah, I think people didn't like his attitude at the beginning. And when you're not scoring, it's easy when you're the DP. People did the same thing to Jozwiak. Like, they gave him a hard time because he was not producing. I mean, that same thing applies to Capetti. And the same thing applies to Swiderski. So Enzo's got to get going. But I kind of feel bad for him because there's just nothing there for him either. So it's just frustrating all around.
Yeah, I think frustrating is the perfect word for the first half. So just to kind of talk through some stats from the first half here, Swift, before we transition to the second half. Charlotte's expected goals in the first half was 0.93. They had 1.26 expected goals in open play. like we mentioned earlier, you had Justin Meram have a chance on goal. You had Enzo Capetti have a perfect opportunity to put a shot on goal, and we missed it, right? And we had plenty of opportunities in the first half compared to Montreal's 0.66 expected goal in the first half. They had that one opportunity, like you shared, that wasn't really a great shot. Kalina stepped up, which is great, but wasn't a big shot for Montreal at that point. So now let's transition to the second half a little bit, Swift, here. So, Charlotte came back out in the second half with the exact same lineup. Were you okay with that? And what did you think of the overall performance in the second half versus the first half for Charlotte FC?
I was okay with not making any changes at halftime. I thought on the night we played really, really well. The only critique that I would have is, and I'm kind of curious too. We brought in Jan around, I think it was the 67th minute, right, for Corujo, and I'm wondering if that's more of, Corujo's still coming back. He had cramps last game, so maybe just relieving him a little bit, and that's okay. But then the thing I kind of had issue with was that we didn't make another change until like the 83rd or 84th minute. And I don't know if that was Latanzio just saying, "Hey, I like where we're at. We're in this, and just gonna try to see what the guys can do." But I thought, and my buddy of mine even said it. He goes, "I wish they would have brought these guys in. And these guys meaning like Gaines and Patrick Agamang. I wish he would have brought those guys in around like the 75th minute instead of the like 84th minute to give them a little more time, because I do think when those two guys came in, they opened things up and looked pretty good. That would be, I mean, maybe that's a little nitpicky, but I would have liked to have seen them a little earlier, I believe.
Yeah, and I know you were at the game watching, and I was watching it here in South Carolina on TV. It did seem towards the end there. I know Vargas was playing pretty well. He did look a little gassed there towards the end of the game, which I don't know. I mean, he hasn't had a knock this year. I mean, yeah. I say this as someone that lives in South Carolina who hasn't played competitively in years, never at that level. That you should be in shape to be able to play 90 minutes. But it is a little concerning that if you're getting gassed at this point of the season, what the reason why and why. But I do like the combo of Patrick and Gaines coming on. You've got like a big body that then becomes up top. You've got speed now. You've got Camille on the side. You've got Mackenzie Gaines on the side. It kind of opens up that back third for Montreal. I do wish it would have done sooner, because obviously we were having some chances here and there with like Carroll with a header, etc. But I mean, you weren't really seeing anything from Enzo at this point in the game, DP or not. You got to make a change for an impact of what you're going to be able to do. And Patrick's shown. Yeah. The last few games, he's made an impact. He's made an impact at Crown Legacy. You got to go with the hot hand and someone who's actually starting to produce a little bit versus what you saw at that point of the game.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick scored 2 for Crown Legacy on Sunday after he played Saturday for Charlotte FC. What I like about Patrick is, maybe he's a little raw, but he's someone I've seen people say he's slow. He is not slow. He's actually one of the fastest people on the team. He just maybe looks slower because he like runs like a gazelle and he has long legs. But the dude is fast. He's tall. He's good in the air. He can hold people off. And if we're going to play the way we've been playing, that's the type of guy you need in there. I mean, I look at Daniel Rios last year when we were having success launching balls forward. He's the type of guy that you want bringing the balls down. Enzo's not that player. So I can't knock Enzo too much for that. So if we're going to play like that, Patrick, I'm not saying Patrick needs to start, but Patrick needs to come in sooner rather than later to do that. I thought, again, he played well, and I just don't see some of the criticisms for Patrick, and I don't know. It's odd to me, but and the training staff and the front office really like Patrick. I think he has a bright future. Again, he has a lot to work on, but he looked really good. He's always looked good when he's come in. So I know there were some people that said that Patrick missed a chance the other game. I mean, okay, well, did you watch this game?
I was going to say, Enzo's done that too, so,
Yeah, to me, that's a little nitpicky if we're talking about missed chances. But I would like to see more of Patrick. Honestly, especially towards the end of the games. He's a big guy, and you're floating stuff in the box. I don't know.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, you're not saying that you want to start Patrick, but if the mindset and the thought process is you're going to save some of your faster guys for the second half of the game, you're going to put players on like Camille and Gaines on to kind of be like, all right, you've ran these guys, they're tired, hopefully you've wore them out. And then you're going to bring those guys on. Like, why? I don't want to say put our DP on the bench, but why not keep Patrick as a starter or play more to help that hold up play, which is where we saw the most success last year with Carroll being able to produce something in other players. And then if Enzo's ability is really truly to run off players, to basically make runs, burn people, be a workhorse, right, for us, why not have him come on at the same time with Gaines or Camille and be that super sub coming on in the second half? I mean, I know you don't want to say that I spent $6 million on a DP, but if that works, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, two things. Like if I'm the coach, I play Enzo for 60, 65 minutes. And I look at him, if he's having one hell of a game, leave him out there. But if he's kind of struggling, nothing's really happening, pull him off. It's okay. I mean, Enzo runs a lot, and he's going to tire defensive out. And that's perfectly fine. You talked about Vargas earlier too, getting, kind of winded. I'm okay with that because we do have some options on the bench that could come in. So I'm okay with them running themselves out. And Enzo does a ton of running. So, but I would assess it at the 60th minute saying, okay, Enzo's on fire, leave him out there. He's doing good. Keep him out there. Or if nothing's happening, bring Patrick in, or move Swiderski up top and bring in another midfielder. One of the things I almost want to see is this may sound weird, Swiderski and Enzo Capetti just switching. Let Enzo play I want to see what he could do with his feet and actually feeding Swiderski, right? Let Swiderski bring the ball down and trap it and lay it off. Like I want to see something different because what's going on right now is not working. That dynamic does not work.
I love you, Matt, but I don't know if I'd want to see that. I don't know, man. I just haven't seen.
I just want to see it for a little bit to see what happens. I mean,
yeah, I get it, man. I just
what's happening right now does not work.
Yeah. So, awesome, man. Well, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think through what Enzo's. I just haven't seen the passing from Enzo, but I mean, hey, if it would create a spark, let's do it, man. So, so anything else that stood out to you in that second half? I mean, other than, the subs that we made, I know there was a lot of criticism about the officiating towards the second half and towards the end of the game, but anything else that stood out to you from this game before we move on to like the fan Q&As?
No, nothing really. Yeah. Officiating's always bad. So don't want to harp on that too much again.
I'm sorry for the local refs that listen to the show, but, I was not a fan of that second half, especially towards the end of the game on that call with Patrick at the end too.
My buddy Steven, who I sit with, who I have season tickets with, he's a former referee, high school, college, and everything like that, and he said that this guy was pretty bad. But so,
just but yeah, I get it. So awesome, man. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll return with our fan Q&As. And welcome back, everyone, to our favorite segment, the fan Q&A. So, Swift, let's dive into these questions. Man, we got some pretty good ones and some fun ones in here, too. So, looking forward to some of these at the end, especially when it involves a local fast food chain in Charlotte. So, but we'll get to that later on. So Matt, this first one comes from good old Rusty Varner. So, friend of the show, been a guest numerous times for us. So, Rusty wants to know, which player is more important to the team right now in this moment? So take salary, DP status, whatever it is, take all the tags off. If you had to say Karol Swiderski or Derek Jones, who's the most impactful on the team right now on June 26th?
I feel like most people are going to say Derek Jones, but I think it's Swiderski because I do think that if Swiderski is doing well, the team's going to be doing well, and we need goals. And again, I feel like Westwood can play CDM. I feel like we have natural center backs. I'm not saying that Derek Jones is not good. I'm not saying that Derek Jones can't play, but I think Swiderski is more important to this team, goal wise, long term wise, everything. When he's playing well, we're playing well. I know there's lots of Derek Jones fans out there. I get it, but I don't know. We've given up so many goals. I just don't. I'm going to say Swiderski.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Matt Swift said Derek Jones is not a good player. So, no, I'm just joking. So, I agree with you, Swift. I would say Karol is probably the most impactful, more important player But that does not mean that Derek Jones is not important, because our record shows that when Derek Jones does not play,
Sure,
we do not win. So I think that's obviously he has an impact somewhat on the team, right? So
and
cool.
and Derek Jones had a really, really good game against Montreal. He made a lot of great defensive stops, stepped up in the midfield, and again, not knocking Derek Jones, is just I think moving forward with some of the signings and what we're going to be doing, Swiderski is going to be way more important.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people would agree with that. So, so thanks, Rusty, for the question. So this next question comes from Bruce. So Bruce says, I mean, we may have touched on this a little bit too, but Bruce wants to know what your thoughts overall were on the subs for Montreal. So I know you said you mentioned that you wish that they brought on like Patrick and maybe Gaines on sooner. What'd you think of those? Keeping Harrison Awful on the bench, Joseph Moore on the bench still, Brian Cambridge. What did you think of those subs and when they did it, and what would you rank or give Lattanzio a rating for on those subs that he did make?
I like the subs for the most part. Again, I think I would like to have given Gaines and Patrick a little more time. The only thing, maybe, I think didn't Vargas pick up a yellow card in this one, or am I thinking about the last game? I want to say Vargas was on a yellow card, so I maybe would have pulled him first and left Miriam out there, because I thought Miriam was pretty good. But for the most part, I thought the subs were at least okay. Just wish they would have come sooner.
And Vargas did get a yellow in this game, by the way. Yeah. So I want to say it was pretty early on. It was like in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game. So, and I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, it was in the 30th minute. It was the 50th minute. It was the second yellow card given in the match. So, I get what you're saying. It also may have made Vargas a little bit more reserved than he could have been. But, yeah. Awesome, man. So thanks, Bruce, for the question. So this next question, we may have touched on again from this, but let's look ahead on this next match as we travel up to New York and play in Yankee Stadium, which is the first time we've played there, because last year when we played NYCFC, we actually played in Red Bulls Arena. So this is the first time we're playing in the most amazing soccer complex in North America, Yankee Stadium. For those who don't know, look up what the statistics and the field diameters and all this stuff. It should not be allowed, but it is what it is. But Chris wants to know who should be our starting wingers, right? So thinking ahead for that next game, who would you start against NYCFC?
Ooh. I'm thinking, I think I would start, Miriam and Józwiak, and then I would bring Vargas on in the second half if we needed more offense. And I would bring him in for Miriam. I think at the beginning of the game, I'd like some composure, control. I'd like to have Miriam out there. That's a tough one though. But yeah, I think I'd go with Miriam and then Józwiak on the other side.
I agree. I think Camille was a hot hand. You can't underestimate the connection he has with Carroll. Seems like when those two are playing, they tend to play off each other really well. So I definitely want Camille to start, and I think Justin's veteran presence and just awareness is really key. And frankly, his skill on the ball, I think, is important too. So then you can make a sub with Vargas or Gaines coming on, or Cambridge, whoever in the future. So awesome. So thanks for the question there, Chris. So this next one comes from Hudson. So we may have alluded to it earlier, but do you think that we should drop Enzo from the starting lineup next week or even in the future weeks?
I don't. I think I would give him another game to kind of see how it goes. But there is a part of me that wants Swiderski up top and just another midfielder behind him. But I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I don't want to totally give up on Capetti, but at the same time, I'm very frustrated with him / the chemistry between our two DPs.
What if I told you we could have a midfield of Ashley Westwood, Arfield, and Ben Bender with Carol Swiderski up top and Justin Miriam and Camille on the sides? Would that
Well,
be warranted enough?
That's the lineup that I put out the other day.
maybe I
social
alluded
media.
to that.
And everybody got mad at me because there was no Derek Jones.
Well, you can still start Derek Jones at center.
I would like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would like to see that too for a game, just to try it. Let's see. Why not?
Yeah.
We're bleeding goals already, but we're not making any goals. So might as well try something new to make some goals. So it'll be good.
That's right.
Awesome. So thanks for the question, Hudson. I know we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show as well. But so this next question comes from another friend of the show, Spencer. So Spencer says, should we be holding Christian Lattanzio partially responsible for the insane amount of fouls and yellow cards that we're collecting so far this season? So just to put that, Matt, you put a graphic out on the social media accounts a few weeks ago. We're one of the league leaders when it comes to yellow cards and fouls. Should we be giving that to Lattanzio?
We are number 1 in yellow cards, sir. Show some respect. And actually, I think we're number 1 by like 4 now. Yeah, I think we're in first by 4 cards, which is not good. If you're also going to be, we're actually tied for the most goals now. I think Atlanta's helping us out because they're leaking goals too. So, do I think it's Lattanzio's fault? Maybe a little. I only say that because I do think with some of his tactics and stuff, he's putting our players in bad spots and making them do extra things. But at the same time, our captains need to watch their mouths. Capetti actually was calming Westwood down, which I thought was interesting. We're picking up a lot of stupid yellow cards. That's kind of a thing, and that goes to just player discipline. And you got a whole coaching staff. You got Christian Fuchs, who's a leader. I'm like, what are they saying to these guys? Like, hey, the silly yellow card's got to go. And maybe our style is that we're just physical. I mean, I think we're 5th in the league with fouls committed, and maybe we're just a physical team, and I'm okay with that. The cards, though, is when we're running our mouths and running up to the referee and getting stupid yellow cards that way, I have a problem with that. So, but I don't know how much you can put on the coach other than maybe just some of the tactics are putting us in bad spots. I don't know.
So speaking of style of play, I'm going to jump around here to a few of the other questions here. So, Kyle asked kind of something along the lines of that. So he asked, when will Lattanzio change his style to fit the talent that we have versus keeping the same templates? I know a friend of the show, Vaughn, was on Soccer and Coffee with you on Saturday morning, talking about the style as kind of like this Man City type style. It seems like we're trying to make it work with maybe not the right talent that we have. Is that something that you really should see Lattanzio adjust to, or should you see the team adjust to what Lattanzio is trying to coach?
That's a good question. I think that I would be interested to see the conversation between Zoran and Lattanzio. Is Lattanzio saying, hey, I'm going to run this style of offense and defense. You got to go get me the players to do this because right now I don't necessarily have them. Or is it say, hey, Lattanzio, you don't quite have the personnel. And that's not a knock on the personnel. It's just maybe that's just not how they should be running. That's just not their style. And maybe the coach needs to say, okay, hey, I want to do it this way, but the players that I have, they're more suited to do this and do that. And I think it's more of that. I think what he tries to do is too complex. I think Lattanzio is indecisive. I think he's a little afraid, a little scared. And so I've said so many times on this show that I think he just needs to keep it simple and just trust his players to play in the natural positions and just let them play. But he doesn't do that. It's always something, and that's the frustrating part.
I almost want to say, I don't think you do see Lattanzio change, because if you think about it, he was pretty out there and said that, he's given 3 players to the front staff that he wants to bring on during the summer window. And usually if someone's saying that, they have a style and a type of player that they're trying to fit on the roster. So it almost feels like I'm hoping they're aligned on what they expect to see, but it also feels like he's not going to change what he expects on the field, just from that perspective.
Yeah, and that's okay. But if it doesn't come off, don't expect him to be the coach next year. At least that's what I'd be thinking. But okay, we'll give you these players, but it better come off, and the fans too. Like I'm going to be one of those folks. Like, all right, you've got these people. This is what you asked for. This is what you're running with, and I would say so far this season it has not worked. We got the second half of the season now with our backs up against the wall, and you want to keep banging your head against the wall with this. So it better start coming off. If not, I don't want to see him as head coach next year.
Yeah. So this next question comes from Zach. So what is more likely to happen? 1, Carroll leaving and we sign a true DP number 10 and Copetti finally gets the service that he deserves. Or 2, Copetti leaves and we move Carroll to the lone striker and sign a true DP 10. Or even 3, Christian Lattanzio gets his head out of his and we play a 4-4-2 type formation with 2 strikers up top.
Well, I think we just answered the, hey, he's probably not going to switch formations because I feel like he would have already done that already.
I don't think we've seen that once with him, to be honest with you, like that 4-4-2.
Yeah, I think he's, what we just talked about, I think he's hell-bent on doing what he's wanting to do. But the other part, that's a really good question. We've talked about if you are to go sign a real playmaker, a difference maker, and it's going to have to be a DP. Somebody's got to go. I off the top of my head, I would say Copetti is more likely to leave. I don't know how happy he is here. It could be wrong, but it could be Swiderski. I don't know. I haven't really talked to anybody in the front office or staff about that. Haven't really pressed anybody on that, and I probably won't. I just directly ask that. But you never know what could happen in the window, and of course in the off season. But my money would be on Copetti and I'm not saying either one of them's leaving, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say Copetti.
See, I agree with you. I'm not sure if Capetti's enjoying his time here. I think Carroll's market's better than Copetti. Carroll's playing internationally. Sure. We spent, I think, $6 million to get Copetti here. Like, the team's not going to want to sell him for cheap and be like, yeah, we'll just offload him real quick because it's not working out. They're not going to eat that at this point of this tenure with Charlotte. Carroll, on the other hand, has been here for a year and a half, has had flashes, has made at least Poland's bench. I think he has the better market. So if any of those 3 scenarios will happen, I think it would be Carroll before anything else.
It could very well be. It's kind of a toss up.
Yeah. So speaking of more Polish players, so Greg wants to know, is Jóźwiak not back to 100% yet? Don't really quite understand why he's not starting yet or getting more minutes. So Matt, anything that you know of or reason being why he's not starting potentially now?
I think he's just still working his way back in the team, giving him some minutes as he goes. It'd be interesting to see if he starts this game. I think that would be very telling because he's had plenty enough time to train, plenty enough time to, get some game minutes in those legs. So I think this next game will be very telling about what Lattanzio feels like, where he is on this team right now.
Yeah, I agree. So this next question comes from Paul. So, which legacy player would you most like to see get a call up for some first team minutes over the next few weeks? So, we've seen Brian and Patrick, who's had minutes there at Crown Legacy, now starting to get some more consistent minutes with the first team. Who would you like to see get called up?
Neely, I'd like to see a little bit of him, maybe. I wish we had some cup games because I'd really like to see him in there. I want to see more of Hamid Diop. He's been injured, unfortunately. Just really hope he can come back and then get in. Maybe like Nick Williams. I'd like to see him get some minutes. I really like him. He's a little older though. I wish he was a little younger, but I like him. There's a lot of players that I wish could get some minutes, but and then of course Petrovic, who's also been injured. We put out a Crown Legacy article and kind of highlighted him a little bit. And he hasn't played a lot of games, but when he has, he's been pretty impactful. He's the one that we paid $3 million for. It'd be really cool to see him with the first team to see kind of where he is.
Yeah, I kind of like Neely as well. I like to see him. I mean, it'd be a really cool story. Just someone that played for the academy, then plays for the Crown Legacy, and then could potentially get to the first team. I think that would be a great kind of story for one. And then it's frankly a position of need. We need more left and right backs that we can depend on. So I think it would be a good opportunity for someone to play for us on the first team. So,
yep.
Awesome. So this next question comes from Greg. So Greg wants to know, with our lack of consistency and also kind of leaning on a bit of realism, do you see a path to playoffs for us, or are we hoping and praying at this point of the season?
Well, so I'm thinking that we're going to need like 47, 48 points. We've got 24 now, so we need another 24 out of the next 14 games. We've got 7 home games left. So even if you win all of those, that's only 21 points. So we've got to win on the road, which we've shown that we could do that, but they can't be draws. We've actually got to win. NYCFC is one of the ones that we really, really, really need to win, because what you mentioned earlier, David, we have some tough home games coming up, and I can't bank those, no pun intended. And also, we just haven't really been good at home, which really, really stinks. We say it all the time. You have to win your home games. We've dropped, essentially 4 points last 2 games. So this is one we have to have. It's getting pretty dicey. Like if we had those 4 points, like I said, we're sitting in 7th, whole different ball game. But now we're just starting to lose ground on those top 6 or 7 teams. And then the teams ahead of us are ahead of us, and they have a game in hand. So that's the other problem as well, too. So it's getting tough. So, for example, like Red Bull and Chicago are both 1 point behind us, but they've played one fewer game than we have. So when this shakes out, we could be sitting 11th or 12th after they've played 20 games like we have. So it's getting dicey. There's a couple games that we've dropped, these home games that we've lost. It's just we're going to have to really dig deep the second half and beat some really, really good teams. We have LAFC at home. It's at home, but you got Cincinnati. Like there's some tough stuff, and then at the end of the year, you got Messi's Miami coming. So it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Well, and to kind of piggyback off this a little bit, so Michael asked a question that was pretty similar, but there was a little comment he made at the end here. So we're currently sitting at 24 points, like you shared. That's 2 points behind to last year's current standing at 26 points with 20 matches played. So I know we were pretty critical of Miguel, the team that he led last year, and obviously we credited some of the success late in the season to Christian Latanzio steering the ship. But now we're looking at this 365 days later, and we're technically worse in points than we were last year. So do you think the team's actually worse, or do you think we're the same, or do you think we're better than last year at this point?
I think this is a better team. I just think that we've had a lot of stuff going against us. We had a player pass away. We've had major injuries to key people. I look at Kamil Józwiak, who was absolutely on fire, getting assists and scoring every game, cup games, league games, whatever, and then he's out for a long time. Melanda's out. Like Corujo has been out for 30 games. Then we've had goalkeepers. Both of our goalkeepers get injured. It's a lot of stuff to go against us. I think this is a better team. And I mean, if we would have won Saturday, then yeah, we're better than we were last year. So it's right there. But how much better are we actually? It's just hard to gauge with everything else that's been going on.
Got it. Yeah. And I saw that. I think I saw a question similar to that in like the different Facebook groups or social media. So it was interesting to see. I would say a majority of the fans rated us as being worse than we were last year. But hey, that's where we're at right now as a team. So, so let's dive into some of the fun questions. You ready, Swift?
Let's do it.
So this first question comes from Kate. So Kate says, inspired by something I saw at Spotify Camp Nou or Nuo, I can't say it properly, but this weekend.
She was in Barcelona at Camp Nou.
Camp Nou. Okay, I said it right the first time. Okay, great, good.
Yeah.
If you could get married in a sports stadium, which one would you choose and why, Swift?
I mean, this is going to sound cliche, but maybe Bank of America. It's my home state, home team. I don't know. Maybe that's boring, but yeah.
Boring. No, I was joking. So, no, I would probably I would probably say the same, just frankly because like I don't have any other history or attachment to any other stadium. I don't. I mean, maybe I think there's a really beautiful stadium in Mexico somewhere that has like that beautiful mountain backdrop. I can't remember where it's at. Like just like picturesque moments like that, but like I don't have any special tie-in or affinity with any other stadium like I do for here locally, right? I think that's more important to me personally.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thanks for the question, Kate. So this next one comes from our friend Michael Gallimore, who was he came in with the hot take here very early on with the questions on social media. So he's got a two-parter here, Swift. So the first question, and I definitely want to chime in on this after this too. So he says, what do you think about Bojangles' CEO commenting that he wanted to get Bo out of the chicken game and into this quote new experience market? So what's your initial thought when you saw that header or article on Twitter?
Hated it. Everybody's always trying to like mess with a good thing, man. Love Bojangles, so I hate it. I think it's dumb. Quit trying to mess with stuff. Just do your chicken. That's good.
make it chicken good. Okay. So my answer to that first part is going to be a two-parter. My first question or my first answer is going to be, if they can ever be a potential sponsor of the show, then I'm going to be like, yeah, it's amazing. You should totally lean in on that and make it all about the experience. Bojangles, do you, right? Now, if they can't ever be a sponsor of the show, which I highly doubt Bojangles would ever sponsor the show, especially with my love-hate relationship with them. I think
you don't even eat it. You hate it.
I know. so I've read it. So I'm actually going to be, I'm probably going to get like pitchforked about this. So I've read the article just because like the headline was like, oh, they're getting out of chicken. It's not that they're getting out of chicken. So when you read the article, it talked about they were trying to enhance their experience, make their stores more streamlined and more consistent. So they're trying to get out of the variability of their food, right? And my background, like I worked in food and beverage for a long time. I'm all for that because that's my biggest complaint of Bojangles. I actually don't mind Bojangles when it's good, but 9 out of 10 times you go to a Bojangles, it's like, oh, these fries are like soggy and they've been sitting here for a while, or there's no seasoning, or the Supremes are raw, or they're overcooked and been sitting underneath the hot well for like an hour, or the biscuit's hard as a hockey puck. And then they also got rid of bow sauce. How can you get rid of bow sauce? Like, that is the one sauce that was good. But anyways, I digress. I think it's a smart move from that. You want to start a food and beverage podcast, Matt? We can do that, man. We can talk about food and beverage all day if you want.
Yeah. I do. I feel like all fast food chains suffer from consistency, right? Like sometimes, like McDonald's, sometimes the fries have been sitting there too long, or any other fast food. But maybe they can make some improvements.
I think that'd be great. But I did have to laugh though, because like one of the things that they put on this new experience thing was a bowberry biscuit like milkshake, and I'm like, oh my god, that sounds just terrible. So. Yeah, no, not your thing. Okay. So then Michael's follow-up question to this, and this is the real hard-hitting investigative journalism here. So, Swift, he wants to know, is Bojangles better in the vault, or is it better in the quote-unquote normie area in the rest of Bank of America Stadium? So, Matt, since you're the vault king here, which one tastes better for you, sir?
This is going to sound so pretentious. They don't serve.
Oh my God, no!
I don't think they serve Bojangles in the vault. If they do, God. I've never seen it. They have some really amazing food in the vault. You can get all types of stuff, but I don't think that they serve. But maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't. I don't think that they do.
Now that next time you ever sit in the vault, I need you to go live on the show account, and I need you to document the food that they have down there, and then also and also share if they have Bojangles or not. And if not, I will gladly bring some Bojangles down from the normie area and hand it to you over the seats so you can have it in that area.
I do love Bojangles. I had it last game. In my normie seats or whatever Callum wants to call them, but I just want to say they don't have Bojangles down there, but the food down there is pretty incredible. They have all day. I mean, they have like sushi and like nachos, hot dogs, like roast beef. Like they got all types of.
The one time we got to go sit down there, it was pretty damn amazing. The food was amazing, the desserts, everything like that. But you said sushi. I don't know if I would want to eat sushi in 98-degree weather in the sun in Bank of America Stadium. But I guess you could just walk in the AC and just eat it. But I don't know. That just seems like that's a recipe for a bad time, sir.
Well, yeah, you don't take the sushi out and like sit it in the sun and let it sit there for a while and then eat it. Like that's not.
That's how it works, man. God, don't ruin my dream for me. It's fine. So I guess the follow up question for me, because our friends over at the Royal Dump at the QC Royals put a tweet out there for the very specific prediction of the match, and I said that at the 38th minute you were going to get up and get a hot dog and put ketchup on one half and mustard on the other half, and then put a pocket full of napkins in your back pocket. So can you confirm or deny that you did that, sir?
I don't know why you would think that I would get up at the 38th minute to leave the game, one, and then two, to go get a hot dog and very specifically put ketchup on one. Just like you don't know me at all. Like I saw you tweet that out. I was like, I would never in a million years do that. I'm going to eat Bojangles like I did.
It sounds exactly like you.
Before the game.
Exactly like you, Matt.
Because I'm not getting up during the game to do anything. I'm watching the game the whole time.
I know. That's why it was a very ridiculous specific prediction, but it's okay. I'll find you next game, and I'll come and find you at the 38th minute, and we can go get a hot dog together. But so yeah, I think that we can end on that note, because I think that was a good question from Michael there. So thanks for the question, Michael, but thanks to everyone for submitting their questions. Hopefully we didn't bore you too much with our Bojangles talk, but Matt, let's finish us off here before we end the show. I know you've been promoting the book club here a little bit for the Mint City Soccer Show. We have some pretty exciting things coming up here soon, but would love for you to kind of share what we have going behind the scenes for some listeners.
Yeah, you mentioned the book club. It's Done Deal by Daniel Gee. We're going to be doing a Twitter space, probably. Let's see. Let's look at the date. We need to pick a date for that. Maybe at the end of this week, or maybe at the very beginning of next week. So we'll all get together, talk about the book, how that correlates into any signings that we have between now and then. We have one with Scott, and just give you guys an opportunity to tell me what you think about the book and just chat about it. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be doing that every month and have some cool stuff going forward with that. Like I said, got a new sponsor that's really, really cool, and looking forward to working with them. We'll have some new articles coming out this week. We also have the promotion relegation episode that we need to finally record now that you're back and not quite as busy with work now, David. So, and also too, something cool to look out for is that we're going to be opening up our online merch shop soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to have some fun stuff there and some cool collaborations. So more to come with all that. That's all I got, David.
I can neither confirm or deny that we have some kind of Bojangles merch involved with Swift here. So, but no, really exciting stuff behind the scenes, and kudos to you and Corey and everybody involved with what we're doing here. And thanks to our new partner Renegade that can kind of be, put up with us talking about Bojangles. So, on that note, Swift, anything else that you want to say before we end?
We probably. Yeah, we probably could have got Bojangles, but you've ruined it, so we can't ever have them because you don't ever eat it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Thanks a lot.
No, it's all right. I'll get Cane's down here now since that's South Carolina. So, but on that note, everybody, Raising Cane's. That's chicken.
What is Cane's?
You never had it before? Okay, the next time you come down to Charleston, when you come down to Charleston next time to look for your treasure, you will have to try Raising Cane's. Chicken down here, so I'll take you there. It'll be good.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fun. I can do that. I've never heard of it though, but yeah, I'm down.
I got you. So awesome, guys. Well, on that note about chicken, we're gonna call it a night. So look forward to hearing everyone. Be sure you like, subscribe, review the show. Check us out on YouTube if you want to check out these cool goalkeeping gloves. If you want to see what they look like, check us out on social medias as well. But until then, everyone be safe this 4th of July, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.